you up one day, one day. Said, baby, understand me, 'cause it's not easy to relate. Said, baby, watch my mouth move. Said, I need you. Sweet you up one day.
Hi there, welcome to the Folkery Food Network. Eating local helps invest in your community. Sustainable practice we can all have fun doing. My name is Greg and this is my lovely assistant Bree, and we're here today at Lush Valley Food Action Society. We're going to be making a stuffed pork loin roast and a smoked salmon salad paired with apple pear wine, graciously provided by Blue Moon Winery here in the Comox Valley.
I don't know about you, Greg, but the wine's going to be my favorite part.
Oh, definitely. But first, off to our producer Benjamin, who's down at the farmer's market picking up all the lovely ingredients we'll be using this evening.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Dunstan. I'm with the Folkery Food Network. We're here this morning at the Comox Valley Farmer's Market to pick up a few items for our cooking show. I'm here with Elaine Codlane, a food nutritionist in the Comox Valley, and we're going to talk about our menu items today. The salmon. Is there particular health benefits aside from it tasting awesome?
I think it's pretty well known that salmon is really good for us, and a lot of information about the polyunsaturated fat in salmon oil. The other thing that's interesting that I just discovered a few years ago is that the salmon protein also has really great benefits for heart. So, you know, taking fish oils and pills, yes, if you have to, but actually eating, you know, wild, fresh salmon and it's all good for you on all kinds of different levels.
Yeah. So it's going to be smoked in the salad, and we're going to add some walnuts to it. Our stuffed pork loin roast is going to be coated with an apricot jam and have some walnuts in there, and some spinach. So the spinach is going to be kind of a base here in between the two dishes.
So you're having spinach as a salad base as well as spinach in the
mixed
pork.
green spinach.
Yeah. Spinach is fabulous. It's really, really good for you. Really, really high in minerals. It's one of the first greens that comes up in the spring. And the only thing that is, and it's kind of interesting because we normally serve salad with an acid dressing. Spinach has what they call oxalic acid, which can actually interfere with your absorption of the minerals.
Oh, right.
But when you add
or something like that.
When you add the apple cider vinegar or the lemon juice or whatever, it neutralizes the oxalic acid, so you actually get the full benefit. So it's oftentimes when you look at food combinations or if you look at traditional cooking styles, they actually, without maybe knowing the science behind it, they've actually figured out ways of enhancing the absorption of nutrients or neutralizing the impact of something that's negative in the food.
Right. And some people just might do that automatically without really realizing what they're doing. They think, oh, this tastes really good, but there's a deeper reason for it. You know?
Generally, we know what to do without knowing the reason why we're doing it. So oftentimes greens will have, you know, some more and some less, have oxalic acid in them, and we typically serve them with some kind of acid, either vinegar, lemon juice, whatever.
Thanks for your time. I'm going to head back to the kitchen with Greg and Bree and cook up this meal. The pork, by the way, is being sponsored by Butcher's Block, and some of our greens and vegetables are being supported by the local farmers in the Comox Valley. Thank you.
So I'm going to start by making our appetizer salad. And I have some greens here, graciously provided by Mara Farms. And I'm just going to take a little handful. Ooh, I've got this beautiful edible flower I want to keep on there. So a little handful of greens on your plate. And then some of the smoked salmon from Portuguese Joe's. And some of the toasted walnuts that we've already used in our stuffing. So I'm just going to sprinkle those on. And then to top our salad, we're going to sear some brie so it gets nice and melty. So over here, I have some Natural Pastures brie, and that's their Comox Valley brie. Super good. And all we're going to do is heat up our frying pan a little bit. And once that's warm, we're just going to drop a slice or two in there. Wait for that to sizzle. And once you see it start to bubble over the sides, then we can give it a little flip. And it just needs 1 or 2 seconds. And Brie is super soft, so you don't want to keep it in there too long, otherwise you're going to have a hot mess and your husband's going to hate cleaning it out of the pan. Flip that over. Lovely, and you can see it's starting to get a bit of a darker color. And then once that's done, just going to pull that right off. And we'll make a nice little X on top of our salad so it looks all pretty. Now you can use pre-made salad dressing if you want. I prefer just a little bit of oil and vinegar, and we have this amazing olive oil and black-grade ginger vinegar from Signature Wines and Comox. So we're just going to drizzle a little bit of that over top of our salad. You don't want to use too much because it is very strong. We just want to lightly season it to bring out the flavors already present in the ingredients. And there you have it. Amara Farms greens, Portuguese Joe smoked salmon, and some natural pastures Comox Valley Brie, along with some dressings from Signature Wines. Looks amazing. So to wilt the spinach, it's super simple. I'm just going to take a little bit of water, put my spinach right in there. It really only takes 10 or 20 seconds. You just want to soften it up so the water's not going to off and on the stuffing. And you can see it's starting to wilt already super fast. You just don't want to use too much water, otherwise you're going to have to drain it off after, and you don't want that. So 10, 20 seconds. Excellent. It's getting nice and soft. So as soon as that starts to wilt, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to bring this back over to our kitchen. Get it right in our bowl. Now the other ingredients in our stuffing are going to be these toasted walnuts, so about a 1/4 cup of those. I've got a 1/2 cup of dried cherries that I've roughly chopped. I've got a little bit of garlic that I've minced up here. About 3/4 of a cup of rice. And if you don't have rice, you don't have to use it. You can also use breadcrumbs, quinoa, couscous, whatever you have on hand. And then I'm just going to season it with some of our rosemary and esprit, a little bit of sage, a little bit of thyme, and a little bit of salt and pepper. And then the best part, stuffing in my opinion, is I'm actually going to use a little bit of the Blue Moon apple pear wine that we're using to serve with dinner, and I'm going to put some of that in there too. Maybe a little more. So we're going to give that a quick mix. And just make sure it's all really blended all together. And then once Greg has the porcelain pinwheel, then we can put that in there. We're going to roll it up just like sushi. It smells so good.
Oh, it does.
There you go. So that's all done. And now you can see over here, Greg's just trimming the fat cap off the pork, just so it's not really fatty. Then once he's got that, he's going to actually slice it into a really thin sheet. And while Greg's doing that, we've got the stuffing all ready to go. I'm going to get some potatoes and yams ready. So we're just going to chop them up roughly. Doesn't have to be even, doesn't have to be neat, because you're going to have them in the oven for quite a while. Now you can use whatever kind of potatoes that you have on hand. We're using some yam and some baby red and white potatoes. If they're really tiny, I think that kind of keeps the right in. And then once you've got those in your bowl, all we're going to do with the potatoes is we're going to use some of the same herbs from the stuffing of the pork loin. So just a little bit of rosemary, a little bit of salt and pepper. And then a little bit of water and a little bit of oil. And these are going to go right in the pan with our pork roast, so it's all nice and easy, all in one dish. How's that pork roast coming, Greg?
Oh, it's getting there. I'm really glad that the butcher's block down there on 6th Street was so kind to donate it to us to use today.
They do have some very fine meats.
Yes.
You've got some fine meat yourself there, Greg.
Wow. making you blush, Brie.
On camera?
Oh.
No. Matches your hat.
Matches my hat.
So you can see he's pulling all that fat off there. It's going to be a nice lean roast as some of our guests are going to be very health conscious. Personally, I think the fat's the best part. Well, Greg's seen me with a plate of bacon.
It's what gives you flavors. You don't want to get rid of all of it. You don't want too much of it or it'll be swimming in grease, and then it's not really appetizing. And this right here is a little bit of silver skin I'm trying to remove, because that's the stuff that when you cook it is going to turn really, really tight and make your meat really, really dry and gross. So you want to get rid of that. All right, now I've got basically all the fat off of here that I want. I'm going to start pinwheeling it, which is to say just to roll it and cut it so it's nice and flat and even, and will cook evenly once it's in the oven, once it's seared and in the oven. So I want to start right down here, about a ½ an inch from the bottom.
And Greg, you're using a nice sharp knife, aren't you?
I'm using an extremely sharp knife because it makes it so much easier to work with. You just have to be careful.
I definitely have to be careful.
All right, now you see how it's just rolling out? Nice and easy.
So Greg, are we going to roll it up like sushi?
We are going to, exactly, just like sushi.
Excellent.
Yes.
And then when we slice the pork loin after it's all cooked up, you're going to see all the filling in there, and we're going to fan it out just like a nori roll at a sushi restaurant.
This is going to be so nice. This is such nice.
And you know it's nice and fresh too, because it comes from a locally sourced vendor.
Yeah, we're just about done.
That looks beautiful, Greg. Now, how are we going to season the pork loin before we put the stuffing in?
That is really, really quite simple. 1 second. Just want to do the last couple of cuts here. Get a little more fat that I missed. There we go.
Beautiful.
And now to season it up, you have to remember you need lots, not tons of salt, but lots of salt to help bring out all the flavor. That's what salt really does, is it brings out all the other flavors in your dish. And a little pepper, just to add a little zing, of course.
I'll zing you.
There. Now, we also are using some sage from Epsiode Farms. There we go.
I can smell the sage. It smells
A little bit of
delicious.
thyme.
Just picked this morning, I'm told.
Yes, fresh is always best. If you're going to use powdered, you're probably going to want half.
Yeah, about half as much. The
About
dried
half.
herbs tend to have a stronger flavor, but the fresh herbs have a nicer flavor.
Yeah, it's more in your face, nice, like you know.
And the great thing I think about shopping local is that everything is really fresh. You know, you're not using something that's been frozen or been processed. Everything
Sitting there
is
for 2 weeks.
Yeah, everything is as fresh as it possibly can be, which is
Yeah.
going to make it taste all the better.
So our stuffing is ready.
All ready to go for you.
Awesome. So we're just going to scoop up most of that right now. Place it in the center, make it a nice even layer so that it'll cook at an even pace.
Now, Greg, I know you're an expert at rolling sushi, so I know you'll be good at this.
I have been doing it for a few years. Yes, I have. Must say.
I've been handling meat for a few years, but I still can't do it like you.
Takes a lot of practice. All right. Do you have salt and pepper in here?
Salt and pepper is in the stuffing already. Everything's been seasoned.
Perfect. So I'm just going to switch perspectives there for a second. We got all we need.
I think we do. And while Greg's rolling the pork loin, I think I'm going to mix up an apricot glaze to go on top, because that's going to help keep it nice and tender. And the apricot is going to bring out all the fruit flavors in the wine that we're pairing with the meal as well. So I've got about ½ a cup of apricot jam and 2 or 3 tablespoons of water. And again, a little bit of salt.
Going to season it on the outside as well. Just a little bit of salt and pepper.
Now, Greg, are you going to sear the pork loin before we put it in the oven?
Yes, I prefer to sear the roast before it goes into the oven, because it helps give it more flavor. The caramelization of its natural juices will really enhance what ends up on your plate and looking fantastic.
So I think I'm going to take some of these herbs and put them in our glaze as well.
Perfect.
Just really use that.
Now I've got my butcher's twine. You want probably about 3 times as long as your roast, just to give yourself a little playroom. All right. Now this is very, very simple. Go to an end, tie it up.
Now how tight do you want to tie that thing?
You want it really, really tight because you don't want it to fall apart in the oven.
Okay.
And you'll be removing the string before your guests get to it anyways. So,
And we're sure that's not going to catch on fire in the oven, right?
no, it won't. There's
Excellent.
enough juices coming out from the roast that it shouldn't be a problem at all.
Wouldn't be the first time I've lit something on fire.
Oh, me too.
Now, what I've got for the glaze here is about half a cup of apricot jam, a few tablespoons of water, and I've just taken some of the same herbs that we used in the stuffing and on the pork loin, and some salt and pepper. And all I'm going to do is just whisk that up, and you do want it to stay rather thick. And once Greg has that pork loin seared off and in the dish, we're just going to brush the pork loin with glaze, and then take it out every half an hour or so to give it a little bit more. And you can also put some on at the very end. It's going to give it a really nice sheen and a really nice flavor. So now that that's all done,
All right.
we're ready to go back to Greg, and he's going to show us how to sear this pork loin.
All right. Pork loin is ready. Now I will, with a little bit of our special olive oil here.
Here, look at that.
Excellent. Now let's just heat that up a little bit.
I sure like that meat, Greg.
That is going to be so tasty. People are just going to, oh, amazed. All right.
Now, if you're doing this at home, you may notice we've got these nice comfy chef's clothes. You can wear pajama pants, and in fact, I highly recommend it.
Yes, it's much more comfortable at home.
So how's that pan doing, Greg? All nice and hot?
Yeah.
I know I am.
All right, so I'm just going to, like so, get that going on nice high heat.
Now, what was the temperature of the oven again?
325, I believe it is. 350.
So not too hot because we want to cook it slow, right?
Yes, you want to do it slow. The faster you cook something, the more tough it's going to be. You want it slow, long and slow. That's what I've always learned. My parents taught me that. My chefs in school taught me that.
And I bet your lady friends taught you that too. Long and slow, right?
Slow and steady never lost the race.
That's got some nice color, Greg.
You just want to seal all the outside of it, keep all that flavor inside.
Now once he's got that in the roasting pan, I can add these potatoes, and it's all going to cook together, and all those flavors are really going to blend.
All
So
right.
again, that was the salt and pepper, a bit of herb, and some olive oil.
Now here, I am trying to make sure there's at least a little bit of caramelization on the outside before it goes into the oven, just to make sure all that flavor is trapped inside. This is going to be so nice. Right, I think this pork loin is pretty much ready to go into the pot.
Excellent.
So I will place it in the center of the pot. I'm just going to, thank you very much. Just get this as well. Little deglaze.
Is that for you or the pork?
Oh, the rest is for me. I used a little bit of wine there just to help lift all the flavor that is trapped in the bottom of the frying pan from the pork loin. Pour that over top. And now we'll take our potatoes. Place them in there.
That looks almost too easy, Greg. It must be more complicated.
No, it really isn't that hard. Just a little bit more to help it cook.
Now, Greg, is that going to make the pork roast alcoholic?
I hope not. That wouldn't be good.
The wine does actually cook off in the cooking process, so the alcohol is not going to be present when you actually serve the meat. It's just going to add flavor and also tenderize the meat.
So, now our pork loin roast has been in the oven for approximately 45 minutes, maybe a little longer. We're going to pull it out and we're going to baste it with our apricot jam mixture.
And
Thank
I've
you
got
very
that
much.
right there for you.
So I'm just going
And
to place
grab this
that here.
custard.
Pull the roast out of the oven. Oh, man, that is smelling so good.
And it looks beautiful. You can see the colors on the potatoes are really starting to come out now that they've been in the oven a while.
Now I'm going to baste it with this lovely apricot jam. This is going to be so tasty, folks. This is unreal.
Now, Greg, when do we get to eat it?
Well, we're probably going to get to eat like we normally do in our industry. Last.
Well, at least we have some wine first.
There we go. Something to soft and blow, as it were. And there we go. We've basted our roast back into the oven.
So now that we've got our pork loin in the oven, I think it's time for the chefs to enjoy a glass of this Blue Moon wine.
Yes, but not too much.
And due to TV magic, they appear right in our hands. Cheers, Greg. Good job.
Cheers, Bree.
Now I think it's time for us to stroll on outside into the beautiful Comox air and enjoy this wine and wait for our dinner to be ready.
I think that's a grand idea. Shall we?
Let's go.
After you. So now our roast has been able to sit and rest for about 10-12 minutes just to let the internal juices solidify. And I'm going to take it off of this metal pan onto a cutting board. And now I'm going to cut the string that's binding it all. You want to make sure you don't serve your guests any string. It's just one of those things that turn people off. And there we are. String's gone. And now, just see how beautiful the white of the roast is. Green of the spinach. You want to cut really small portions so that you can put two on a plate so that your guests feel that they're getting a huge meal. Like so. Plate. Like this. Potatoes and yams. Just going to place a little bit of brown basmati rice on the plate. It goes so well with pork. Doesn't that look great? Stick a little bit of rosemary on there just to give it a little. And I'd just like to say thank you very much to all of our sponsors. Join us again on the Folkery Food Network. Visit us on Facebook or write thefolkery@hotmail.com. Thank you so much.
Sweetie, but one day, freedom, one that day. One more time for the cheap seats. Sweetie, but one